All right, good morning, and we are going to get started with the media availabilities for the Federated Auto Parts 400 here at Richmond Raceway with the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. We are joined to start off by Joey Logano, driver of the number 22 Shell Pennzoil Red Cross Ford. Joey, your sponsor Shell is based in Texas. In the wake of the devastation from Hurricane Harvey, donated $1 million to the American Red Cross, and now you're running a special paint scheme to bring recognition to those efforts. Can you just talk a little bit about that paint scheme here?
Yeah, this is the best looking paint scheme I've ever had on a race car, and the timing couldn't be any better to have the American Red Cross on it. I'm so thankful for Shell to be able to give the car to the American Red Cross, and obviously in a time of need. When we see what's happened down in the Houston area, and the devastation that's there, and looking in the future, the next few days of what Florida looks like possibly can happen there. So, obviously we need all hands on deck, and if we're able to help out in any little way, we should. It's what we should do as contributing members of our society. We should be thinking with our heart at this point, because there's a lot of innocent people that are getting hit hard by these storms lately. So thoughts and prayers obviously mean a lot as well, but also donating your time and resources to these communities is so large at this point. So obviously, like I said, for Shell to give the car up to American Red Cross to help drive awareness to what's going on and help drive some funds down into those areas is ultra important to me, and hopefully to everybody else as well.
Thanks. We'll open up to questions. Please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start up front with Bob.
Bob Pockris, ESPN. After Denny got his penalty, the perception is that it wasn't as bad as yours because he already had a win, so it didn't cost him a playoff spot. I'm curious if you feel like it's an even playing field, or do guys with wins coming into this weekend have more of the kind of latitude to push the limits?
The penalty is the penalty, whether you have a win or not. Maybe it didn't affect him as much. He might say something different after the first round of the playoffs, and he wishes he had those 5 points. I don't know. That can affect this whole season as well. We had the opportunity to win another race, and we still have one more. To where we would say, man, I guess it wasn't a big deal. We'd say the same thing that you just said about the 11 cars. So the penalty is the penalty, and the fact that we didn't win another race since then is the reason why it affects us differently.
We'll come up here to Jerry and then go to Jeff.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. You said this already, that you'd like to win this race because of the penalty in the first half. Now you're here. What will it mean, aside from the playoffs, from a personal standpoint, if you can go out there and take this win?
It'd be huge, obviously, for a lot of different reasons. Obviously, for one, to make the playoffs, we're in a do-or-die situation. So anytime you're able to win a race in a do-or-die situation, there's no better feeling than that. But also returning to here after our win in spring, and then obviously the drama that followed. It'd be very nice to be able to get back in victory lane and to prove a point. And I don't see any reason why we can't. Our team's fired on all 8. We had great pit stops last week. We went forward on the strategy. Didn't work out, but we have to. That's the situation. Is second place is a failure when you look at the goal this week of it's win or nothing. So we have to race that way, and hopefully it all works out. And we'll just have to wait and see. We'll see where our cars got here in a few minutes, so we'll tune on it and give it everything we got all week.
We'll go to Jeff and then to Nick.
Jeff Gluck from jeffgluck.com. Joey, in the past, when you talked about how you've been in the situation before in the playoffs and you've executed when you had to win, but in those times it feels like you were running much better than you guys have been running lately speed-wise. Do you still feel like you have the speed now to go out and do that, or will you be in a strategy situation like Darlington where you might have to make something happen that way?
We'll see when the race starts and as we get through practice, but we know what we have to do. Like I said, we know the only option is to win, and I feel like our Yeah, have our cars been off a little bit compared to where they've been in the past years? Yes. I'd be lying if I said they weren't. But here at Richmond, I think is one of those places that we're able to carry some speed. Just rewatching the spring race on the way up here, and we had a good car. Brad had a really fast car. We both were up there for the front, battling for a win, finishing 1-2. That wasn't that long ago, and obviously this is a short track, which seems to kind of mask some of the challenges that we've had with our cars. So when I look at those things, I feel confident that this is a racetrack that, if we do everything right, and it's not going to be easy by no means, but if we do everything right, we can squeak one out.
Go to Nick and then back to Bob.
Nick DeGroot, motorsport.com. Jeff touched on it a little bit, but what do you think the 22 team has been missing over these summer months?
I just need to go faster. You know what I mean? It's just speed in general. The team's still the same team that almost won the championship last year. So nothing's changed there. Just we gotta get faster. I'm proud of the team and the way we've handled these situations. Obviously, this is one of the toughest spots as a team we've ever been in. We've never really had to fight to get into playoffs in a long time. So, this is a challenging position, but the spirits of the team is still strong. They're ready to fight this week and ready to go, do whatever we got to do to get into victory lane. And I'm proud of that. This is a time that it shows your true character. And when I say that, you can be either down on yourself and be beat before you even show up to the racetrack, or you can show up here and be ready to go and have the right attitude and that confidence that we are going to win. And that's where the team feels like they're at. So I'm proud that I'm with a team like that. I wouldn't want to fight this race any other way.
We'll go to Bob and then back to Matt and Chris.
ESPN. If NASCAR took away wins, would that be any more of a deterrent than the penalties that are being issued currently?
Took away a win, and as in like just instead of encumbering or cucumbering the win.
Really, same penalty, but instead of you being listed as having how many career wins, it now be one less.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the fans came to the race to watch the race, and they should see a winner after the race, right? If you come here to watch tomorrow night, and it's a great race, you should know, hey, it was a great race. Now, what happens Wednesday is it's a challenging situation. How else are we supposed to do it? Do you want to end the race and then wait 3 hours and let them tear down the car completely, and then we're going to go to victory lane and celebrate? Well, that's not very exciting. Everyone's going to be gone. There's going to be no story. There's going to be you can't do it that way. But we also need to have a fair race, right? So we need to be able to make sure we tear these cars apart and we find what's right or wrong about the cars. I will say the penalties handed out to me have been, and what these encumbered finishes mostly have been about, really small and to me don't really affect the race itself. It's not like it's been a huge deal. Is it? There's pushing the line and seeing a little bit of a gap that we're all talking about right now, and then there's doing things a different way where it's just blatantly obvious. That I believe is really pushing too far. So it is what it is. It's the rules that we've been given. We all need to play within them. That's what it is. I'm all right with that. But we also need to push it to be able to be successful on the racetrack. We can't lay up too hard because you never even be competitive to win a race. But I do feel like the penalty of these encumbered finishes and taking the playoffs away and the playoff points and the playoff eligibility, all that stuff is very severe. It's a severe penalty. I don't know if it needs to be more severe. I know, believe me. So, you're still watching a great race. Last week was a great race, hands down. And if I'm a fan, I'm happy that I saw a great race. It's not. It wasn't, to me as a competitor. It's not so blatant that I'm going to say, man, it's awful they did that. It's so close that the gap's so small it's not doing anything.
Go to Matt.
Matt Weaver, AutoWeek.com. Like you had just talked about, we're talking about fractions of an inch. This isn't like egregious penalties. More often than not, are egregious infractions. So do you and your team, and do you think your rivals take kind of offense or umbrage when fans say these guys are cheating? Because we're talking about like fractions of an inch, right?
Yeah, I don't like the word cheating. It's not the classiest thing to say, I guess, in general. But we're talking about something very, very small. Now you go out there and you soak your tires or something like that. That's blatantly obvious. Yeah, you should be thrown out of the sport. That's a completely different thing. This is pushing the edge. And after 500 miles at Darlington or 400 laps here, parts are going to, be worked. Obviously, we're pushing everything to the ragged edge, and you're trying to bolt down, 800-ish horsepower every lap with a design that's off an old pickup truck. We're talking about U-bolts and truck arms. Things are going to get worked and moved around, and gaps are going to form a little bit. And like I said, we're pushing the limits on all that stuff. That's obvious through every team out here on the racetrack. But it doesn't start with that gap. You know what I mean? It just starts to work into it, obviously, as the race goes. And we don't know exactly where that's going to be sometimes after a long race.
We'll go to Chris.
Chris Knight, catchfence.com. Joey, do you think that even if you were to win tomorrow, that your team could be competitive in the playoffs?
Yeah. I've thought about this some. The first round in the playoffs may be, I don't want to say easier, but maybe a little bit easier than actually getting in at this point. This is a challenging thing to try to get into the playoffs. There's a lot of fast cars that are trying to get in. You don't typically see this many good cars that have a lot of speed being knocked out at this point. So, I think getting in is going to be maybe the most challenging part. And after that, then it's the playoffs that we typically see. I mean, if you can tie together 3 strong races, anyone can get there. It's the opportunity is the same for everybody once you get in it. Do you think we can be championship caliber? I think I heard you. How about that? Racing for this long, I can still hear you. This feels great. Do I think we can be championship caliber? I feel like we can get there. Do I think we're there right now? Obviously not. We're not in the playoffs. So I wouldn't say that we're at that spot. But I've seen the sport go through big swings within the period of 4 or 5 races. Where all of a sudden other cars get super fast and the fast cars kind of fall off. I've seen that. It's all about the timing of when all that comes around. So I never think that we're not, for very long at least, because anything can happen.
Up here to Ellen and then to the back.
Hi, Joey. Ellen Hurrow, USAtoday.com. It's kind of hard to miss the irony that we're at the site of your most recent win, and it's your last chance to get another win to get you into the playoffs. If you had to pick a track or tracks where you needed a must-win, where would Richmond rank on that list?
As far as
if you had to pick a track, okay, I need a victory. I can pick any track I want.
I'd pick any one. It don't matter to me.
But I mean, where does Richmond rank in your kind of
right now? Number 1. I don't really, if this playoffs ended in a different spot, then that track would be number 1. We need it really bad. We need to win. So I honestly don't care the shape or where the track is. We need to win at it. And yeah, the irony is something, I guess, and the story would be incredible. If we win, you guys' little fingers are going to be burning up on those keyboards, and hopefully I can make you guys work hard.
We'll go to the back and then wrap up with Kelly.
Joey back here, Sean Robertson, CBS 6 here in Richmond. How much, if at all, does your mindset change in your unique situation having to win here in regards to being too aggressive to win to make the chase?
Yeah, our mindset hasn't changed in the last 3-4 races when we realized that we're going to have to win. So the mindset doesn't change since then. This is just the last chance, right? This is the last heart. We're trying to use everything we got right here. This is obviously it's a big weekend for us, and it's a big it's a high pressure moment. But I love these moments. These are what you live for. If you're able to be successful, there's no better feeling. So I'm excited about the challenge ahead of us, and hopefully we can make it work out.
We'll wrap with Kelly.
Position to fight to get into the playoffs in a while. So did this week kind of feel any different mentally? Were you worried about it too much? Have you thought about it? And is there any resentment or bitterness towards what happened in the spring?
Yeah, it's yeah, typically you kind of, well, I say typically, the last few years we've come into this race saying, man, this is kind of the last vacation race you get, kind of in a way. This is the last weekend you get that doesn't have any stress or pressure before you have 10 weeks of hell, right? That's pretty much what we used to look at it as. Now that pressure has been on us for a long period of time, over the last few months, really. I'm trying to get through this little slump that we're in, and it's just, are we bitter about what happened? It happened. We're in the past. That's in the past. We got to keep looking out the windshield, and Roger will preach that to us all the time. You got to keep looking out the windshield, and what happened has happened. We can't change it, so we got to move forward.
All right, Joey, thanks for joining us, and good luck tomorrow night.
All right, thanks, guys.